Hi everyone, thank you once again for joining yet another episode in the series Beyond Ordinary, where I take you to places aim to challenge the norm, break the glass ceilings, open the conversations on things that are not normally closed and the lid is airtight. Today I'm focusing on perimenopause, and it is that important to me that I thought let me raise it here, because if you were born in the 80s or somewhere in the latter part of the 1970s, chances are this particular episode will be of interest to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. But of course, I can't do that without giving you my feedback on what my research has unearthed in its comical and funny way. So I was coming across a doctor who was explaining what this thing was. And the host of the program actually thought about a very funny anecdote that she wanted to share as to what her experience was when she thought about perimenopause and how it affected her. Um, and one of the things that was funny about it was I felt the same way. So the anecdote that she made reference to is, just imagine yourself going somewhere in an airplane, and the captain comes on the audio and he says, "Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain speaking. We are starting our descent in the city of Crazy and should be in the ground within 10 years. Please fasten your seatbelts, put your tray tables away, sit upright, buckle your seatbelts. The crew is doing their final checks. The weather at your destination is turbulent, with scattered showers and some amount of dry condition, gusty winds, and major disturbances. Thank you for flying with us. We'll hope to land you safely." No, I nearly dropped down when I hear how the lady described what perimenopause was for her. Because in that very funny anecdote, I said to myself I couldn't describe it any better to anybody that I would have been speaking to about this thing, because it felt like somebody took me up at a fabulous airport. My baggage and my suitcase and everything was stowed away, and the journey began. And somewhere, me just start to see turbulence, weather conditions. Strangely enough, sometimes I'm getting showers and sometimes it's just dry. And it's crazy. And I'm on this journey, I'm in this plane, but I can't land. And then somebody tells me, "Oh, we're going to land in 10 years. Gonna land in 10 years. It's going to get better. It's going to get better, but you're going to drop into the city of Crazy for now. But it's going to get better. And the better that it's going to get is completely dependent on how you decide to handle the journey. So the destination is there. It's going to get better, but it's how you handle the journey." So let's talk about the journey. What are some of the common side effects? What are some of the things to experience during this particular phase of your life? How does it affect the people around you, whether it be in your own personal space, at home, at work, just in general? And it's pretty much understanding the chemical imbalances that are taking place all through and through, and understanding that these are natural biological processes, but your brain can't process that this is happening biologically, because it's just so confusing. And one day it's something, one day it's something else, one day it's something, one day it's something, and you're literally trying to correlate your biological activities with your cognitive activities and your cognitive function. So I guess for me, some of the common symptoms that have been experienced, clearly, people tell you about the hot flashes. People tell you about the mood swings. Now, I can tell you about the mood swings, because it's crazy how you go from extremely okay to bawling. And at one point I said I'm going to have to talk to my medical doctor about me being schizophrenic or bipolar, because the highs and lows of it all was just unexplainable. Then you have the sleep disturbance. Oh my gosh. When you're young and you used to enjoy sleep. Sleep? Perimenopause? You don't know what it is. You're so disturbed. You toss, you turn, you go up, you go down, you go right, you go left. There's no comfort in your sleep. And then there is the complete and utter lack of desire for everything. Literally, you're trying to find ways to make your life normal, and you just can't find it because it's just not there. So understanding what is happening when you're at this stage of the game and the impact that perimenopause have, the severe levels of fatigue that takes you over, and you just don't know what to do with it because your life has to go on and these things are just happening. Now it affects your mind, yeah, where to me, I can't imagine something affecting my mind to the point where I am all forgetting how to hold a conversation. Now, can you imagine how that turns up or how that looks in a professional environment where you start a conversation, something heavily is riding on you having a succinct thought, and in the middle of it, you just don't know what happened. It just gone. And not that it has left you, the fact that you don't even remember what you were talking about. So the memory, the absolute ability to remember what it is that the topic was about at the high level. We're not even talking about the thought you had in relation to the topic. We're just talking about the whole topic. Just take a bus, go about it business, and you're left there wondering, what was I here for? Guys, the experience is traumatic. I'm telling you, I left my house one morning. God bless the fact that I know where my journey is to take me. Ask me how I got there? No clue. No clue. I couldn't tell you how much stoplight I stopped at or went through. I just could not. I was on autopilot going through. And it was having these activities happening and being aware of them, that I said, no, I have to take a step. I have to understand how can somebody be going somewhere that is their day-to-day typical thing, something that they do every day. And when they get there, they're wondering, is how me reach? There's no indication. There's no indicator to tell them how they got to where they are. So we're talking about now the physical manifestation and impact of perimenopause. But hey, let's talk about the impact on relationships. Let's talk about how these hormonal changes affects your ability to tie your emotions in such a way to communication to make it make sense. 1 minute you feel like you're more sensitive than the butterfly, and then your reaction is completely inconsistent and incongruent to that, because in that split second you're as bold as Hulk, and you can't reconcile that to somebody that you're dealing with. You can't reconcile it with your boss, you can't reconcile it with your spouse. It's just not making sense. Yeah. So that level of communication is already shattered by the fact that you don't even know how to process information to make it make sense. Then let's talk about, of course, the connection that you will have with your partner. Because if you can't communicate, then you know what's going to happen next. Everything else falls by the wayside and nothing again makes sense. Right? So with emotional connection being pivoted and being shifted and changed, you can just imagine all other branches of connection that goes with the emotions. All of that will naturally now start to become one fuzziness. So understanding what perimenopause does is very important to partnership, relationships, friendships, marriages, common law situation, it's very important for you to understand what is happening so you can communicate it effectively to your partner so that they don't think that there is a real cause for concern. Because, and I'll say it's not a real cause for concern, because once you understand what is happening, then you know you can address it and there's some remedy to fix it, right? So we have to understand the impact that it has on our relationships. And once we understand what is potentially to happen or what can potentially happen, it will make communication, it will make relationship intimacy, emotional, connections that much easier. And I don't want us to miss that it's not a one-way dialogue that needs to happen. As a matter of fact, it absolutely cannot be a one-way dialogue that is happening. Because in the process of going through this, it has to be something that your other half or your partner understands and is open to, in terms of what are the impacts, what to look out for, and to soften the blows of it as best as possible. Then we want to look at somewhat of practical steps or practical tips to maintaining your relationships that are impaired by perimenopause and what it does. And the first one that I'll talk about is having open communication. Anybody, doesn't matter what is the nature of the relationship, having open communication is very essential to coming over the hurdle of this crazy flight that you're about to take. What does that mean? It means being honest. It means also being very true to self and what is happening, and ensuring that your partner, you're encouraging your partner to do the same. So I'm being open to tell you what is happening, and I encourage you to tell me how what is happening to me affects you. Yeah? At this point in time, there has to be some prioritization of intimacy, but on a different level. So whatever that looks like for you, it may have to take a different view and a different approach. So that's again another way to have a communication. Yeah? And it may not just be in the form of something that is connected to some physical act, but it may just be another way of ensuring that you're still embracing the relationship in a way that it doesn't feel like the physical is gone, but it is still present and it is still something that is prioritized. Then we talk about another practical tip is plan together. Plan together. Because sometimes you're going through, again, this journey that may last up to 10 years. And most people marriages don't even last 10 years. So you can imagine the length of time that you'll be on this flight for. Plan together so that nothing is left unanswered, unexplained, and understanding. Has to be some level of understanding to the process. And I won't leave it there, because I'll tell you, in this whole confusion and land of crazy that I'm going to be landing in, get support, get help. And help does not necessarily come in the form of another set of talking. Sometimes help is something that's medically driven. You may need to get hormone replacement therapy. I mean, I have had friends of mine that have said, yes, they took the patch, they took the cream, they took the pill. And sometimes that is how support comes for you. Some of us can ride it through, Some of us we're just gung-ho and just making this thing not a thing. And I'm very happy for those persons who can do that, and I applaud those persons who are able to do that. But for some of us, we just can't do it on our own. We just can't gung ho it. We just can't fight it, and we just have to give in. And in giving in, it means getting the support that you need medically. So consider counseling if that is what it is, but sometimes it just needs medication. Yeah? It is not a crisis, guys. The moment you see this journey as a crisis, then you're going to approach it with sometimes too many tools and too many damage control measures that a crisis requires. It is not a crisis, guys. It is a part of life. And it's a part of life that if you manage well, may almost seem like it's nothing, right? And I'm not saying it is nothing. I'm saying don't approach it as if it is a crisis that requires this monumental resolution. Yeah? Little things can assist you along the way. So, what are some things that are clear indicators that will happen? And I'll speak from a place of knowledge and a place of experience. Apart from the hot flashes and the lack of memory and the night sweats and the sleep disturbances, some of the ones that may add to an already degenerating mental state is weight gain. Weight gain, loss of, in some instances, appetite, but you're just gaining weight and you don't know how because you don't even have the desire to eat. So these are some of the things that are some telltale signs that you may want to look into if you see them happening to you and you just can't explain it away in the normal way of doing so. Right? So a summary of the key takeaway that we want to leave here with is that it comes with it not only emotional changes, but it comes with it physical changes as well. And awareness of the physical change and the emotional change and the mental changes that are taking place is very much something that has to sit on communication, open and honest communication. Yeah? Sometimes in how it impacts you, it just requires redefining what our relationships look like and how we will navigate our relationships so that it doesn't fall apart. So sometimes it means redefining what intimacy looks like, redefining what supports look like, and how to transition both so that while something is happening, again, not of a crisis nature, but something that is requiring attention, we can navigate it knowing all well that we have the support systems in place. So my extraordinaires, as I mentioned, this is another in the series. It was something that I don't know if we are able to, distill it to the point where it requires, because these topics and these conversations, they do take more than just the surface level discussion. But of course, my intent on this channel is to provoke thought. That is just my objective. It is to provoke thought and to allow you to step into a space and to step into a place where this becomes your now dialogue. This may become something that you will need to take further. But I'm here to just whet the appetite, to give you something to know that you're not alone when it comes to these topics. You're not alone when it comes to these experiences. You're not alone when it comes to these events of life. And because you're not alone and somebody raises the level of consciousness for you, it is now your opportunity to take it where you need it to go. So my call to action for this episode is pretty simple. It's pretty simple. And it is just the mere fact that if you found this to have been a helpful topic for you, I always encourage you to consider subscribing, consider sharing, consider liking, consider commenting. Let me know how your journey has been. Has it been complete turbulence? Has it been a fairly decent journey, a fairly decent flight. Whatever it is that your experience is, I would like to hear it. I'd like to hear about it. And sometimes we don't even know that we can comment on something because we don't know it's happening, and we just think it's a normal run-of-the-mill things. But take an audit of your life, especially, as I said, if you were born in the 1980s and you realize that you're on a flight to somewhere, and you've been on the flight, you've been on the journey way longer than you expected. And throughout that journey, a lot of things are happening. Far too many things that you can explain. And just maybe you need a good pilot to land you safely. So again, thank you, my extraordinaires, for taking the time, sitting with me, and hearing me out on yet another provocative topic and conversation. And as always, I'll see you next time when I talk about another in the series. Take care, be good, and be safe. And in closing, as always, this episode was sponsored by Thomas Hamilton and Associates Company Limited, where they specialize in generator service, rental, and sales. Visit them on their website. Just go into your regular browser, type Thomas Hamilton and Associates, follow them on Instagram, follow them on TikTok. Most social media handles, they are present and they're there. Check them out. See how best they can assist you with your residential and commercial generator sales, service, and rental. I'm going to drop an insert at some point of some of the projects that they have embarked upon. And guys, let me tell you something. If you really want power, check them out. Take care. Bye-bye.